The Multipod hits the road and attends the Everything Conference of 2024. I'm your host, Ted Craig, and I'll be reporting live from Minneapolis, chatting with multi-potentialites from around the world as we share the energy, enthusiasm, and stories of this wonderful event. Thanks for joining me. Let's jump in. Well, it is Sunday night, the final night of our time in Minneapolis. The Everything Conference has just come to an end. I'm sitting on the University of Minnesota campus, which is a beautiful campus. It's very well maintained, it's clean, it's very well lit. It's quiet here, but I feel quite safe. There's really nobody around. And it's a perfect place for some reflection. I think I can imagine that's probably what we're all doing right now, wherever we may be, as we've gone from all being together in this place in such a concentrated way to where we're already starting to separate, go our individual ways. Some people had to leave early too, and otherwise, early flights, and we're kind of thinking ahead to the next destinations and places we need to go, things we need to do. But undoubtedly, a beautiful night like this, it does help with that kind of reflection. It's really quite nice out. It's just a gentle breeze. It's a little bit of humidity for sure, but it's not really that muggy. And just a nice summer's night. It's kind of exactly what you'd hope for on a summer's night in the Midwest. So I'm trying to, remember the conversations I've had, the people I've talked to, the things we talked about, of course, the topics. And I feel like maybe on this I can speak for most of us, if not all of us, that it's been a very emotional day with a lot of deeper conversation and topics that we've explored. And you get to that point after, 3 days where we've been together enough. We've already done some of that work. You kind of start in the gentle level where you're still feeling each other out. And now you get into that third day, and don't forget, it's not just the workshops and things, but it's all the socializing and, the fun we've had going out for dinner and playing pickleball and karaoke last night, and those things that bring us together. Now we know each other that much more, and so when we sit down in a small room at, say, the McNamara Center and talk about some pretty deep issues about grief or care, responsibilities, the things that weigh us down, things we can't run from, but that we don't necessarily want to run from, but we look to each other for support. And that's part of the special spirit, I think, and energy that we felt amongst each other this weekend. And at the end of the day, the very, very last few minutes on Sunday here, when we had to clear out of the great room that we were in, before we did that, the last thing was we pulled all the chairs into a very nice circle that was like just the right size, where we could all look around and really see each other. And nobody was kind of blocked or anything. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. It was a really nice space and feel and size. And we were able to take that moment. It was literally the last thing we did collectively to consider what we just experienced, the steps that took for all of us to get here. We think about how long it took to plan and put this thing together, and all the many months, of course, of anticipation and waiting for it. And now it's happened. It's been here. We did it. And now we're at the end. And endings are inevitable. But let's take a second here to just be in the moment. One thing I've been telling myself, I remember this back on Thursday as I was coming up to the first welcome party and meetup. I really, really wanted to be in the moment throughout this event. I didn't want to think about work I had to do, things happen next week when I get back home. I really tried to not have expectations. I just wanted to be. And I think I've been pretty good at that. I've been able to just focus and be in that moment and appreciate the conversations, the people I was talking to. And some of that too meant that, I wasn't going to kind of hustle and try to pack in as much as I could, go to every workshop possible, I sit outside and do a bit of recording for sure, and do a bit of reflection and thinking, and just have some of my own space too. And I have a feeling a lot of us were able to do that as well. This event was formed around 7 core principles, and to be honest, I don't have them all here in the top of my head, but one that stuck with me, particularly someone who documents things and produces podcasts and content, media, and so on, it was very important to recognize that a theme here was that what happens at the conference, essentially stays at the conference unless there's willingness for it to be shared. So what I'm doing with you right now, of course, this is me talking and my thoughts, and I'm sharing this with you, and I'm giving myself permission to do that. But I realized quickly that I didn't feel comfortable, of course, and it wasn't appropriate for me to kind of wander the halls and capture some noise and, little bits and pieces of conversation and stuff, because that wasn't my place to do that. And I could still, I hope, share some of this spirit and energy in my own way, basically as I'm doing now, and sharing some thoughts. And I've been fortunate to be able to chat with a few people here, have some conversations too. I'm thinking I'll try to follow up with some other folks afterwards. It'll be remote again, but to capture some more thoughts as the days and weeks go by of how they experienced the Everything Conference. But that also really allowed me to be more in the moment. I wasn't walking around thinking about, should I capture this, and can I get a bit of audio here, bits and pieces, and then how am I going to stitch it all together and produce something? There wasn't the place for that, and I'm very, very at peace with that. It is hard to replicate the feeling of being in person with people unless you're here. And I think it's just a reality we need to accept. But as much as anything, I want to say to everyone who's listening, maybe especially in the Puttyverse, because we are a community and, a lot of our common friends were here. And I just want you to know that you were thought of as well, that you were here in spirit too. And it may not have been physical, in person, and energy that happens, but you were here in spirit. And I really want you to know that. So I think what I'm going to do is gather some more thoughts, especially on my way home tomorrow. It's going to be a long day getting back to the airport. They're calling for some storms, so some of our flights, I imagine, could be delayed, and it could be a long day, but it's a chance to do some more of this kind of thinking and reflection. And I guess I'll wrap up with just saying I'm not sure yet what is going to come next out of the energy and spirit. I know on a tangible way, I made some great new friends, great connections, people I hadn't met before. And of course, we were able to chat, and, there may be some common projects and things we can help each other with. I'll also point out too, I'm really, really happy about this, that our offers and needs in general over the weekend was, I think, a great success. People really took to it and they embraced that spirit, and I saw lots of great connections happening. So I was really happy to just help that happen, to help facilitate it. So there's a tangible thing where you follow up with people and that way. But as far as the spirit, and trying to keep the energy going, that's something I'll need to think some more about. I guess maybe the point is the Everything Conference going to be kind of a standalone feeling that it happened and then it was done and it's a memory? Or will there be ways that it continues to be experienced, maybe, to thrive somehow? That's the challenge, I guess. That's what we're all wondering. But we had this moment, at the end of the day, at least we had this moment together. And it was just a wonderful weekend. And as I said before, I think I said earlier with Joel, when I was talking to him, that ultimately I just came to hang out with my friends. And I'm really happy to be able to do that. So this won't be the last word by any means in the Everything Conference. But I felt, while I'm still here, because again, 24 hours from now, I'm going to be a long way from here, but place and location, environment, place has such a role in how we feel and our thoughts. And that comes back to things like the temperature and the weather and the air pressure. And how you feel, think about, how do you feel when you're near the ocean, when you're in the mountains, or, when the weather's dry, or maybe there's a cool storm or something. Last night, a storm rolled in, actually, a big lightning kind of heat lightning storm, and there's incredible orange sky off in the distance. I hope somebody got a picture of it, because it's just an amazing feeling, right? So place dictates how we feel and how we think about things, and it was important for me to get some thoughts down here while I'm still in this place. So thanks for following along here with the Multipod and the Everything Conference, and there will be more, so stay tuned. Thanks very much.